This is part 1, measuring PM 2.5 concentrations with the mini-vol air sampler. First, put on a pair of gloves. Then set up the tripod. We're going to use the US EPA method for PM 2.5 concentrations described in 40 CFR Part 50. The principle of this method is to use an electrically powered air sampler to draw ambient air at a constant flow rate through an inertial particle size separator called an impactor. Suspended particulate matter in the PM 2.5 size range is separated for collection on a PTFE filter over a specified sampling period. We will use the mini-vol flow meter and sampler, which comes in a waterproof case with 2 latches on the right-hand side. It uses a custom-built lithium-ion battery. The battery should not be stored in the flow meter. Open the flow meter and insert the battery cartridge. This is what the control panel looks like. The sampler has a programmable timer with an on, auto, off button, which toggles the sampler on, off, or to an automatic setting based on the time of day. The flow meter shows you the flow rate in liters per minute. The flow rate can be adjusted using this knob. When you adjust the flow rate, you'll see 2 LED lights come on. These are the indicator lights. When these lights are on, this means the device is adjusting to the new flow set point. It's important that you do not turn off the sampler while these LEDs are lit. To check for leaks, cover the air inlet with your palm. You should see the ball in the flow meter drop to 0 and remain there. Set up the flow meter on top of the tripod. Tighten this dial to secure the air sampler to the tripod. Next, connect the impactor and filter holder assembly and install the membrane. These are the PM 2.5 membranes. This is the PM 2.5 Impactor Assembly. This is the PM 10 Impactor Assembly. You will see that the PM 2.5 Impactor Assembly also has a filter holder assembly attached to it. This is the louvered inlet assembly. It goes at the top. To install the filter, we'll need this blue filter cassette separator. But we will need to install the filter in a clean room with no wind. We're going to use the Tisch Scientific PTFE membranes for EPA's PM 2.5 reference method. Once you're in a clean workspace, dismantle the PM 2.5 filter assembly. Inside, you'll find the filter cassette. Remove this. Use the filter cassette separator to apply light pressure to separate apart the top and bottom half of the filter cassette. Before you put the membrane into the filter holder, bring it over to the precision balance so you can get the mass of the filter before collecting your sample. Put aluminum foil or the filter box cap on the balance and zero it. Using the tweezers, grab a membrane. There's usually a thin piece of separation paper on top. You can discard this. In this method, each filter is weighed before and after sample collection to determine the net gain in mass due to collected PM2.5 particles. The volume of air sampled is determined based on the flow rate at ambient temperature and pressure and the sampling time. The mass concentration of PM2.5 in the ambient air is then calculated as the mass of collected particles on the filter divided by the volume of air sampled. Place the membrane on the balance to get the initial mass. Now lay it down face up on the support screen of the filter cassette. The filter cassette is machined for a press fit, so just push it down to close. Insert the filter cassette into the filter holder assembly and assemble it. Bring the filter holder back outside and put together the impactor assembly. The silver piece is the PM10 impactor assembly. It goes first. There are rubber gaskets inside each piece allowing for an airtight fit. The gold piece is the PM2.5 impactor assembly. Unscrew the inlet tube compression fitting to loosen it, then lift up the inlet tube. Tighten the inlet tube compression fitting again. Now you can connect the impactor filter holder assembly to the inlet tube. Turn on the flow meter. Set the flow rate to the set point, which must be determined using the NIST traceable flow calibration calculations, which are provided in the Minivol manual. These calculations need to be performed before you get out into the field. The EPA method requires a 24-hour sampling time for a fully valid sample. After sampling is complete, disassemble the sampler and bring the impactor and filter holder assembly back into the laboratory to weigh the membrane. Place a piece of aluminum on the scale and zero it. Now, remove the membrane using tweezers and place it on the scale. Record the final mass. Wait for the reading to stabilize. To calculate the PM2.5 concentration, subtract the initial mass from the final mass and divide that difference by the volume filtered. You'll find more information about how to calculate that volume in the lab handout. Part 2. Monitoring PM10 concentrations using the Dust Track 2 aerosol monitor. This is the Dust Track 2 aerosol monitor. It's a battery-powered, data-logging, single-channel light scattering laser photometer that provides real-time aerosol mass readings for air quality. It also allows for the collection of a gravimetric sample. However, we won't be doing that for today's lab. The Dust Track 2 isolates aerosols in an optics chamber where they are measured using a light scattering laser photometer. It comes with many accessories, most of which we won't be using today. First, you need to perform a zero calibration. Click Setup and then click Zero Cal. Now you need to remove the air intake cap to connect the zero filter. Press the Start button to start the zeroing process. A countdown clock will indicate how much time is remaining. The screen will indicate Zero Cal complete when everything is finished. Now you're ready to start taking readings. Detach the zero filter and reattach the inlet cap. There are several different run modes. Survey run mode runs a real-time continuous active sample but does not log data. Manual mode sets the instrument to run for a specified time and saves the data. You can also program the device to start and stop at specified intervals. Select Manual and then set the test length to 1 hour with a 5-second log interval. Select Main to get back to the main screen, and then select Start when you're ready to start collecting the readings. The display screen starts instantly showing you PM10 concentration readings. Clicking the Graph button will show you a graphical output of the data. At the end, you can see statistics of the entire run, such as the average, the minimum, and the maximum.